a bustling Los Angeles TV studio, an 84-year-old icon of martial arts positioned himself under intense spotlights, on the verge of an unwanted clash. What started as a light-hearted chat with a celebrity escalated dramatically when a respected minister's pride sparked a widespread cultural clash during the broadcast. Chuck Norris was far from an ordinary former performer. Over the years, he had served in the U.S. Air Force before becoming a global karate title holder, famous for overcoming not only rivals, but also the overconfidence of those who misjudged him. When Bishop T.D. Jakes, swept up in his own fame, mocked him with, "Shut up, old geezer," the crowd went silent, yet the jab missed its target. Norris's composure served as his rebuttal, a serene resistance that dismantled arrogance with steady accuracy. His reply wasn't about payback. It was about insight. What was meant to be a routine discussion evolved into a worldwide reflection. The venue, aiming for shareable drama, instead became the birthplace of surprising renewal. And the global audience, posting, reacting, and exclaiming, would forever view power, belief, and modesty differently. Before we continue, share your location with us. If this tale resonates, be sure to follow our channel, as I have a unique treat lined up for tomorrow. The spotlights illuminated the sleek platform of the MJ Show's Legends and Legacy segment, casting a welcoming warmth over the scene. The atmosphere crackled with energy, that familiar mix of excitement and anxiety before going live. From the production room, 23-year-old assistant Cameron Lee tweaked his headphones, observing the crowd entering via the screens. All chairs would be occupied this evening. This was no standard guest spot. It was a major cultural occasion. 90 seconds until broadcast, the stage manager announced, his words echoing in Cameron's ear. Cameron checked the feed from the waiting area, where Maria M.J. Johnson, the engaging host, was fixing her jacket. At 35, MJ had earned a reputation as one of TV's top questioners, skilled at eliciting real responses from even the most reserved visitors. This evening's duo, though, was ideal for producers but tricky for the interviewer. Two figures from entirely separate realms in American life. In one waiting space, Bishop T.D. Jakes browsed his device. The famous cleric and media entrepreneur exuded the assurance of someone used to holding the spotlight. At 67, he was still a force. His tone could pack large venues, and his statements often spread rapidly online. He sported a custom outfit likely worth more than Cameron's rent, and his aura dominated even the tiny display. The other waiting area presented a contrasting picture. Chuck Norris remained motionless, palms on his thighs. At 84, the action star and combat expert had mostly stepped away from the limelight, rendering this uncommon outing especially noteworthy. He chose a plain shirt and trousers, nothing showy, just understated respect. His iconic beard, now fully gray, surrounded a visage that had matured into insight rather than mere age. "These two are polar opposites," murmured Tarara, a fellow assistant next to Cameron. "Do you figure they'll mesh?" Cameron shrugged. "It doesn't have to work that way. The difference is the key element." 30 seconds, the stage manager declared. The crowd cheered as MJ Johnson stepped onto the set, her bright grin shining in the illumination. She advanced smoothly to her position and paused for the cheers to fade. "Good evening, everyone. Join us for an exceptional installment of the MJ Show. This night, we unite two individuals who have influenced American society in deeply distinct manners." She held the pause for emphasis, one via the force of spirituality and speech, the other through control, movement, and a nearly legendary resilience. The crowd's eagerness was evident, a soft hum building like waves. "Let's give a warm reception to Bishop T.D. Jakes and combat arts icon Chuck Norris." Cheers roared as the pair approached from different ends of the platform. Jakes advanced with dramatic poise, greeting the spectators. His grin was broad and rehearsed. He proceeded as if aware of every lens following him. Chuck moved with deliberate strides, offering no gestures, merely a brief nod of recognition to the group as they took seats on the curved couch facing MJ's spot. Cameron spotted the posture differences right away. Jakes lounged expansively, an arm draped over the sofa's back. Chuck sat upright, fingers interlaced in his lap, occupying exactly his required area and nothing extra. "Gentlemen, what a privilege to host you both," MJ started, inclining a head. "Two national gems who've never appeared together." "Glad to join," Chuck stated, his tone gentle yet distinct. Jakes agreed with vigor. "It's always delightful to engage with viewers, MJ. And sharing space with an icon like this is simply divine favor. He faced Chuck with a wide grin. Let's begin with the idea of heritage. You've each created remarkable ones, but in vastly separate fields. Bishop Jakes, your messages have motivated countless people. Mr. Norris, your deeds have achieved similar results. What do you wish for in terms of memory? Chuck tilted his head a bit, yielding to Jakes for the initial reply. Well, MJ? Jakes commenced, his rich timbre echoing in the space. Heritage concerns effect, right? It's about the number of existences you affect. How many retain your identity and advance your ideas? He motioned broadly. I've had the fortune to connect with millions via preaching, publications, and movies. But the actual heritage isn't the medium. It's the content, the change. When I'm no longer here, if individuals still draw inspiration from those ideas, that's heritage. The spectators clapped heartily. Jakes accepted it with a familiar incline before addressing Chuck. And you, Mr. Norris? Alternate route, identical goal. Chuck softly cleared his voice. I guess my view differs, he responded. His speech wasn't faint, but it missed Jakes' trained volume. The group leaned in a touch to hear him. Heritage isn't the opinions others hold. It's the reality of your existence. Did you uphold your values? Show compassion unseen? He halted. I want my descendants to recall me as a person who aimed for integrity. The fame, film's image, that's mere distraction. A reflective quiet enveloped the venue. Cameron saw multiple spectators nodding gradually, taking in the disparity. MJ grinned. Two varied methods for enduring influence. Bishop Jakes, you've established a realm through your speech. Your skill in stirring emotions with language. Mr. Norris, you've linked via conduct a bodily essence that embodied a specific form of American fortitude. Distinct talents, common origin. Jakes inserted fluidly. The divine provides each person tools for this vast orchestra. Chuck assented courteously but stayed silent. The discussion proceeded, covering belief, restraint, and the demands of visibility. Cameron monitored the displays, noting how the videographers emphasized the difference between Jakes' sweeping motions and Chuck's controlled quiet. It created engaging viewing. The speaker and the defender, the sound and the strike occupying the same area. But as the part advanced, a faint change occurred. Jakes started talking faster, his replies extending, sometimes overlapping MJ's additional queries. Whenever Chuck initiated a reply, Jakes would add, "Let me expand on that," prolonging his own exposure. In the production area, the director grumbled, "Jakes is overtaking. We must even it out." MJ, detecting the unevenness, refocused. "Chuck, you've been less vocal. I'd appreciate hearing more on how your combat training influenced your handling of obstacles." Chuck bent forward a little. "The initial teaching in combat arts is, and that's essentially what I've emphasized throughout." Jakes cut in, overriding Chuck. "Obstacles are inner conflicts prior to outer ones. As in my publication, MJ's gaze showed expert annoyance. Bishop, I'd prefer Chuck complete his idea." The spectators stiffened a bit at the adjustment. Jakes grinned, but Cameron detected a brief spark of annoyance in his look. Certainly, Jakes responded, motioning generously to Chuck. "Go ahead. I'm intrigued by the bodily viewpoint." His inflection hinted at superiority, a mild positioning of Chuck's knowledge as less deep than his own religious views. Some spectators swapped looks. Chuck appeared unaffected. "As I mentioned, the primary teaching isn't combat methods, it's choosing when to avoid it." "Potent," MJ commented, grabbing the chance. We'll pause briefly. "Upon return, spirituality, notoriety, and discovering meaning beyond fame." Remain tuned. As the feed switched to ads, Cameron observed the screens intently. MJ leaned in to address both, likely stressing equal dialogue time. Chuck simply assented. Jakes beamed widely, touching MJ's arm while replying, but Cameron sensed an underlying buildup in the polished exchange, a strain unrelated to religion or fighting arts, tied instead to humanity's oldest conflict, the struggle of self-importance versus modesty. In the production space, the creator spoke via headphones. "This is solid content. The opposition is effective. Let's amplify it after the break." Cameron saw Chuck sip water modestly, his face inscrutable. The youthful assistant pondered what stirred behind that serene gaze and what might unfold once recording resumed. Returning in 3-2. The stage manager's tone trailed as he signaled MJ, marking the end of the pause. MJ's grin directed at the lens. "Welcome again to this unique MJ Show episode, featuring Bishop T.D. Jakes and Chuck Norris." She adjusted her posture, crossing legs anew. Prior to the interruption, We explored heritage and sway. I'd like to shift a bit to a shared aspect, enduring public exposure and adjusting to societal evolutions. Jakes assented eagerly, preparing his input. Chuck, MJ proceeded, purposefully posing to him initially. At 84, you've observed massive societal changes. How have you remained pertinent over generations? Chuck pondered briefly. I'm uncertain I have. He answered with frank honesty. Pertinence isn't my pursuit. Eras shift. Fads rise and fall. I concentrate on constants. Integrity, control, conviction, kin. A wave of approval murmured among the crowd. Compelling viewpoint, MJ noted. Bishop Jakes, your turn. How have you managed societal evolutions while preserving your core? Jakes advanced with zeal. Well, contrary to my companion Chuck, I see pertinence as vital. His timbre held a light tease. The core is eternal, but the presentation must adapt. My work has incorporated online platforms, live feeds, fresh styles, since connecting means using their dialect, he indicated Chuck. Respecting past icons if you aren't adapting. You're merely, he stopped for impact, a fond relic. The crowd responded with mixed gasps and uneasy chuckles. Cameron flinched at the subtle dig. Chuck's demeanor stayed even, though a brief glint appeared in his gaze. MJ, feeling the strain, tried to guide the talk. Each method has value. But do they? Jakes overrode, his timbre now keener. He pivoted more to Chuck. I intend no offense to Mr. Norris's achievements, but does dwelling on former times truly aid today's youth? They confront issues we couldn't envision. The crowd hushed, the vibe moving from amusement to unease. Bishop, MJ initiated, but Jakes gained speed. Listen, I'm speaking frankly. Certain messages wane as others strengthen. He pointed to himself. My followers youthify annually, because I reject stagnation. Meanwhile, he eyed Chuck directly. When did you last matter to those below 50? The room chilled noticeably. Various crowd members fidgeted. In the production space, Cameron witnessed the director advance, gaze widened by the realization that this orchestrated part was straying into unknown areas. Chuck stayed immobile, palms clasped in his lap. His visage showed no hurt, merely attentive calm. MJ sought to regain direction. I believe Bishop Jakes means, what I'm stating, Jakes pressed, fueled by the unease, is insight demands timeliness. Chuck's period was magnificent. Indeed, those pictures motivated masses. But insight that fails to refresh turns, he laughed, the noise resonating in the abruptly still space. Well, it turns relic-like. Nice to observe, but not especially practical. Cameron observed in astonishment as Jakes persisted in what had turned into a clear rejection of Chuck's importance. In the space, the creator whispered, cut to ads? But the director declined, captivated by the emerging scene. The issue with icons, Jakes went on, his timbre now almost indulgent warmth, is they don't always recognize torch-passing time. They linger beyond their era, holding to former ways instead of accepting current ones. MJ's expert grin stiffened. I suggest we hold silence, old geezer, Jakes uttered, the phrase emerging perhaps as humor but striking like an impact. The grown-ups discussed pertinence. A unified inhale swept the crowd. Videographers traded stunned looks. MJ's gaze expanded in shock. Bishop Jakes, MJ stated firmly, restraint barely holding her surprise. That's utterly... Relax, Jakes responded with a brushing motion, attempting recovery with a chuckle that missed sincerity. Chuck understands it's jest. Right, Chuck? He extended to tap Chuck's leg with feigned fellowship. For 3 agonizing moments, quiet dominated the space. Chuck glanced at Jakes's hand on his leg, then gradually lifted his view to meet the minister's. The crowd held breath collectively. Even the operators appeared rigid, the glowing record indicators the sole activity. In the production space, Cameron murmured, Wow, switch to ads, the director at last commanded. But prior to the shift, Chuck Norris voiced, I'd prefer to reply if allowed. His timbre was soft yet clear, devoid of rage or protection, just a basic plea. His inflection caused even Jakes to halt. MJ, relief evident on her features from Chuck's poise, assented swiftly. Naturally, proceed. The director's grip paused over controls, then withdrew. Whatever followed would air raw before vast viewers. Chuck adjusted a touch, facing Jakes more squarely. His actions were leisurely, intentional. When he spoke, his timbre stayed balanced, neither elevated in guard nor reduced in embarrassment. You see, he started. In my youth, I could have handled such remarks otherwise. The phrase lingered, bearing his background's burden. All in the space knew what alternate handling might imply from a combat master. But across my 84 years I've gained knowledge, Chuck proceeded. Genuine power isn't in volume of yells or force of blows. It's in recognizing when to skip both. Jake's grin held, but doubt started infiltrating his look. Bishop, Chuck uttered, the term free of blame or rebuke. I ponder why you deemed it essential to belittle me to boost yourself. The plain query, posed without charge, appeared to cut the space's air. Multiple crowd members assented gradually, the inquiry echoing. I didn't, Jakes commenced. But Chuck advanced with mild persistence. You discuss pertinence like it's gauged in supporters or news. I've never mixed notice with effect. The lens captured Jakes' features, assurance wavering, yielding to less surety. Regarding being an old geezer, Chuck stated, a faint grin on his mouth. Years are a privilege many miss. Each crease signifies a gained teaching, frequently tough. He indicated his marked features. I've merited each. The crowd, first muted by surprise, now advanced together, drawn not by dispute but by the surprising profundity emerging. Chuck's following terms arrived gentler, compelling all to attend closer. I can't say what struggle you're waging, Bishop. That demands triumph in this exchange so urgently, but regardless, I'm not your adversary there. In the production space, Cameron Lee sensed chills on his skin. This wasn't the planned clash producers desired. It was far stronger. It was observing insight neutralize self-importance without a strike. The venue stayed in a suspended instant that transcended a TV part's limits. MJ, acknowledging the unfolding's importance, avoided regaining command. Preparing and sharing this account required considerable effort. So if it's appealing, join our channel. It supports us greatly. Now resuming the account. Jakes moved in his chair, the shift exposing his disquiet. His typical fluency deserted him, exposing only the bare truth of his conduct under the venue's glow. We'll have a brief pause, MJ eventually stated, her timbre laden with feeling. Kindly remain. As the transmission switched to ads, the venue stayed mute. Nobody stirred. The crowd remained captivated, as if disrupting the instant would lessen its force. In those calm instants before the team reactivated, a deep occurrence had transpired. Not merely a spreadable TV clip, but a lesson in poise that none there would forget soon. And in the silent venue, T.D. Jakes gazed at his palms, the resonance of his phrase, "Shut up, old geezer," lingering like a judgment on him, not the intended target. The ad interval imposed a false halt in the transmission, but inside the venue, moments felt preserved in time. Assistants who usually hurried stood immobile at the set's borders. MJ advanced, conversing softly with both, her terms not reaching the crowd or staff. In the production area, disorder ensued. Do we retain this part or discard? The director queried the head producer, who entered amid the pause. You joking? This is broadcast treasure, the head producer answered, his gaze shining with the clear thrill of surprise tension. The segment of that slur in Chuck's reply will spread by dawn. Cameron lingered quietly on the edge, eyeing the displays. Unlike others, he ignored metrics or spread potential. He focused on Chuck Norris's palms during the whole interaction, including the sharp slur. They stayed entirely still on his thighs. No tightening, no shifting, no evidence of inner chaos that surely existed. The stage manager's tone pierced the loaded air. Return in 30 seconds. MJ aligned herself, expert facades resuming. Jakes fixed his neckwear, a spark of something, doubt, maybe remorse, passing his traits before his trained grin reappeared. Chuck stayed unchanged, apparently unaltered by the surrounding turmoil. 3-2, the wordless signal, and they aired anew. Welcome again to the MJ show. MJ's poise beamed. She pivoted to Jakes. Bishop, care to comment on the occurrence? Jakes cleared his voice. His standard rhetorical assurance briefly lessened. I believe my humor effort overstepped, he started, terms selected cautiously. Broadcast is amusement, and at times in crafting engaging instance we overdo. The rationale lingered, not fully remorse, more excuse cloaked in faint sorrow. Chuck's features stayed neutral, neither embracing nor refusing the partial remorse. Chuck, MJ uttered, shifting to him. Your reply was exceptionally balanced. Many could have handled being labeled what you were on broad TV differently. A mild hum passed the crowd. The slur lingered, unavoidable. Despite Jakes' smoothing attempt, Chuck adjusted mildly, his actions purposeful and slow. The venue silenced, all advancing subtly. You see, he initiated, his timbre maintaining that consistent softness. There's an anecdote I'd share if permitted. MJ assented, relief on her traits at this aid. Do so. Chuck relaxed back, his stance eased yet honorable. Long ago, I coached a youthful competitor with immense physical talents. Quick, robust, skilled, all desired traits. But one flaw existed, he halted. The innate narrator's sense for pace clear even in his modest presentation. He couldn't cease chatting. A aware laugh passed the crowd. In practice, he'd mock foes. In lessons, he'd disrupt. Always required the final say, the wittiest retort. Chuck's gaze wrinkled mildly at the recall. One session, I matched him with an elder pupil, a 60s man training briefly but with notable aura. The venue hushed completely, all immersed in the tale. The youthful competitor began his routine promptly, chatting, mocking, displaying. The elder just attended, grounded himself, and awaited. Chuck's palms moved at last, shaping a basic sign of endurance. When sparring started, an intriguing event occurred. Each time the youth spoke, he opened a vulnerability. His terms became his flaw. Cameron eyed Jakes via the production display. The cleric had stilled greatly, his gaze locked on Chuck. Soon the youth frustrated at his rival's quiet. "Speak up," he insisted. And then the elder finally talked. He uttered one line, "I'm hearing what you require." Chuck halted, allowing the terms to settle. That puzzled the youth. "What's that mean?" he inquired. The elder clarified, "Your terms show what you seek from this bout. You seek proof. You seek notice. You seek superiority. I seek none. Thus I hold advantage." A group breath swept the venue as the similarity to now became apparent. The teaching wasn't truly about combat, Chuck went on. It was about noting that our terms expose our wants, often unrecognized by us. He shifted mildly to Jakes, his action bearing no blame, just focus shift. When one must belittle others, particularly openly, it seldom exposes the belittled. The suggestion lingered deep in its mildness. Chuck hadn't retaliated. He provided understanding. MJ, detecting the instant's force, stayed mute, granting it room. Jake sat rigidly still, the refined mask of the media-wise cleric fracturing sufficiently to show the person below. For maybe the initial public instance, he seemed truly speechless. The crowd, detecting the real personal tension emerging, stayed fixed. This wasn't fabricated TV strife. It was a true instant of reality, uneasy yet magnetic, due to its unplanned essence. In the production space, the head producer murmured, "This explains live TV's appeal." Cameron assented quietly, eyes fixed on the display. He'd begun the night appreciating Jakes' assurance and control, relishing the display of his staged charm. Now he felt pulled to the serene honor of the man the cleric had labeled obsolete. On set, the quiet extended, not clumsy but laden with significance. Chuck appeared at ease in it, while Jakes seemed growingly uneasy, adjusting mildly in his place. At last MJ spoke. Bishop Jakes wished to reply to Chuck's anecdote. Jakes smoothed his neckwear, gaining an instant to gather. When he talked, his timbre had shed some volume, turning natural, less staged. "That's a strong outlook," he admitted. "Maybe I've emphasized generating an instant over exchanging views." It wasn't complete confession, but a retreat from edge, an awareness, though minor, of misalignment. Chuck recognized this with a minor incline, neither requiring more nor ignoring the given. "I believe," MJ noted, spotting a chance to direct back to stable topics. "This relates to a deep element in your paths, the equilibrium of expressing and attending, of outward display and inner thought." "Yes," Jake stated, grasping the aid. "In preaching, we frequently discuss the value of declaration and meditation. And in combat arts," Chuck contributed, "we address motion and quiet, each useful at right moments." The exchange flowed once more, the direct issue apparently dodged. Yet a basic change had happened in the venue's mood. The crowd, having seen Jakes' offhand harshness and Chuck's balanced reply, now viewed the cleric differently. His appeal, so potent before, now felt somewhat empty, while Chuck's soft aura gained weight. As the part went on, Jakes spoke with reduced surety. His signature assurance faded. Chuck stayed consistent, real, balanced, attentive. The opposition sharpened, but unexpectedly. In the production space, Cameron saw social feeds surge with feedback. The tag "Shut Up Old Geezer" trended, but not praising Jakes' remark. Instead, entries showed surprise, letdown, and rising regard for Chuck's poise amid attack. "We ought to track the repercussions," the media handler whispered, browsing her device. "This will dominate by dawn." The head producer assented distractedly. "Focus on displays. Focus on Chuck's features," he directed operators via headphones. Each response, each subtle sign. That's the narrative. As the part neared end, MJ skillfully led to calmer areas, addressing philanthropy, family principles, and upcoming endeavors. Surface civility returned. Yet under this layer, all from venue crowd to home viewers knew they'd seen rarity in today's media. A true character display, not via planned image but via sudden stress. And as the stage manager indicated nearing pause, the brief storm appeared past. But like temporary calms, this held tension. The implicit awareness that key matters lingered unresolved, and the full effect of events remained unclear. We'll return soon with additional from Bishop T.D. Jakes and Chuck Norris, MJ declared as lenses prepared to fade. Stay here. As the indicators dimmed, showing off air, Chuck grabbed his glass, his grip, Cameron observed, fully stable. Upon resumption, the venue's air pressure altered. The crowd leaned ahead, no longer just amused but committed to the developing personal story. Online platforms already flared with prior part clips, the slur, Chuck's poised reply, and awkward follow-up. MJ advanced, her expert manner now with added gravity. Welcome again. We continue with Bishop T.D. Jakes and Chuck Norris. She halted, picking terms wisely. Before advancing, it's key to note our talk took surprising directions tonight. Jakes assented, trying to recover his typical commanding aura. Broadcast is erratic, MJ, that's its thrill. The grin that enchanted masses for years showed, but appeared less potent under glow. Chuck, MJ stated, shifting to the combat master. I'd return to an earlier point, the link between language and power. Across your work, you've let deeds outshine speech. Was that deliberate? Chuck shifted position mildly, his motions efficient and purposeful. It wasn't theorized, he answered, his timbre with that unhurried peace. It was functional. In combat arts, excess chat drains vigor and signals plans. A minor grin touched his mouth. My teacher said an open mouth isn't set to attack or guard. Approval rippled the crowd. But past functional, Chuck went on, I uncovered something vital eventually. The surer I grew in my identity, the less I required validation from others. The term struck with soft impact. Multiple crowd members assented in awareness. Jakes adjusted in place, the motion revealing unease with this topic. Though he inserted, scripture supports declaration's force. Life and death reside in tongue's power, he cited. At times, voicing truth firmly is required. I concur, Chuck answered, startling all with quick agreement. Language holds great force, hence needing caution. The basic remark lingered, its meaning clear given prior events. MJ, sensing renewed strain, tried broadening. Both endured decades publicly. How manage critique or, as seen, direct slurs? Jakes aligned, claiming known ground. Critique accompanies visibility, he stated, his timbre regaining bold quality. Reaching masses, not all value your approach or means. I've learned separating helpful feedback from mere assaults. He motioned widely. As guides, thick skin is essential. Folks project personal matters onto figures, grasping that aids compassionate response over defense. The statement's irony, post-evening's happenings registered with crowd. Several traded glances, the gap between Jakes's terms and deeds clear. Chuck, MJ urged, turning to the calmer figure on set. Chuck assented thoughtfully. I've noted most critique holds some truth, even if badly given. He halted. The task is extracting that truth sounds delivery distraction. And tonight? MJ queried. The inquiry direct yet soft. The remark at you was severe. Quiet descended over venue. Cameron in production space held air with others. This acknowledged the obvious issue. Chuck's features stayed composed, but his gaze held fresh depth. You see, he started, his timbre softer, compelling lean in. I've noted over 84 years. Those most focused on seeming strong often bear heaviest doubt loads. The terms struck accurately like a skilled fighter hitting precise spot. I've encountered many truly potent individuals, Chuck proceeded. Real power avoids self-declaration. It skips belittling to gain notice. Jakes stayed immobile. His trained grin fixed as Chuck talked when Bishop Jakes implied I was obsolete and geezer to silence. I lacked offense. Chuck's palms rested peacefully on thighs. I grew curious. MJ repeated, clearly engaged. Yes. Chuck assented. Curious what drove a divine man, gifted spiritual guide, to openly belittle a non-threat. The crowd silenced utterly, clinging to each term. This wasn't TV's explosive clash, but deeper. A session in emotional awareness given sans volume raise. I don't pretend knowing Bishop Jakes's load tonight. Chuck went on, his timbre blame-free. But I spotted the conduct instantly. seen in competitors pre-big fights, the urge to demean rivals to affirm superiority. He shifted mildly to Jake's, his features not mad but truly worried. It stems usually from dread. The term dread echoed in muted venue. Jake's poise visibly faltered, his staged mask breaking under Chuck's mild accuracy. "I don't," Jake started, then halted. For maybe first public time, the fluent cleric lacked terms. Chuck proceeded, his timbre with sudden empathy. "Bishop, your terms didn't shape me. They exposed you. And whatever fight necessitated those terms, I truly wish you peace." In production space, Cameron sensed a shiver. This wasn't retaliation. It was deeper. It was mercy. MJ, noting the deep instant wait, let quiet extend, allowing effect to sink for all. When Jake's finally talked, his timbre transformed fully. Absent was the staged echo, the trained rhythm filling arenas, replaced by something modest, more personal. "I regret, Mr. Norris, you're correct." He gulped visibly. My remark was unneeded and harsh. The confession appeared pulled from depths. Costly unlike his usual refined declarations, Chuck inclined once, taking the regret sans victory emphasis. "You see," Chuck stated post-moment, his timbre easing mildly, "as a youth in contests I brimmed with passion and pride. I desired all-knowing my toughness." A minor self-mocking grin on his mouth. "I learned harshly that true power isn't dominating others. It's self-mastery." The crowd exhaled collectively, unaware they'd held. The built strain eased. Not via evasion, but real resolution. "There's a passage I've valued," Chuck went on, his timbre soft. "A gentle reply averts anger. I found that valid, not just text, but existence." He glanced Jake sans triumph, only comprehension. Sometimes strongest reply is softest. The crowd sat in respectful quiet, seeing rare TV sight. Real personal development in live time. MJ, veteran of myriad talks, noted the instant's meaning. "Bishop Jakes, you've addressed and written much on modesty. Your views now post this interaction?" Jakes inhaled deeply, visibly grounding. When he talked, his timbre held fresh trait, less staged, more real. Modesty always simpler to teach than apply. Awareness murmured through crowd. "I've faced masses and discussed self-importance, pride, the risk of ignoring our humanness." He pivoted to Chuck, eyes meeting directly perhaps first. "And tonight I embodied what I warned against, a focus on seeming potent that belittled another to rise." The confession cost precious. The built-perfect image figures often conceal. "Mr. Norris," he proceeded, the formal term in recognition, "your handling of my improper remark wasn't merely kind, it taught." He shook head mildly. "You showed the power I claimed." Chuck stayed immobile, neither spurning the recognition nor reveling. "You see," Jakes went on, fresh element in timbre. "A rare shown fragility on global stages. Pre-stage tonight I got tough update." He halted, gauging share amount. "My latest publication, figures arrived far under hopes. Publisher questions next trio contract." Surprise rippled venue. This uncommon personal share on broad TV, especially from Success Projector. "I've shaped identity on pertinence this way." Jakes proceeded. "When numbers reached my device pre-entry, I think I sought proof." "And you?" He inclined to Chuck. With serene assurance, turned mark. Chuck inclined gradually. "Dread often masks as hostility," he stated. "Not judgment, but basic note." "Precisely," Jakes concurred. A real grin breaking staged one. "You see, in ministry years, offering insight easier than accepting." He pivoted to crowd. "Maybe tonight's teaching for us. Modesty isn't self-speech. It's true readiness to gain from others." The venue crowd replied with evening's first real cheers. Not duty to fame, but true recognition. MJ, detecting talk's strong shift, advanced mildly. "Chuck, amid this surprise interaction, you've kept notable calm. Its source? Combat training, existence, belief?" Chuck pondered briefly. "All, I think, but mainly grasping reactions as choices." His aged palms rested easy on thighs. "When one sends ire or slurs your way, they give chance to show true self. A front youth wiped tear. I could have angered." Chuck proceeded. "Half-century back I might." Eyes hint grinned, "But what prove? Dominating another? Ego defense need?" He shook head. "Those aren't powers. Weaknesses posing as power." "That's deep," MJ uttered softly. "Not truly," Chuck answered with typical humility. "Most learn if living long. Real power seldom declares." He glanced Jake's sounds blame. The louder strength claim, more I question fear. The declaration's truth resonated venue-like tone. In production space, Cameron saw staff assenting in awareness. Jake's aligned straighter, fresh in features. Not defense, but real interest. How sustain that core? In world demanding constant worth-proof relevance, It was evening's first non-staged query, true wisdom seek over self-show. By recalling true matters, Chuck replied plainly. At 84, I've lost companions, faced end, saw fame flux. None cheers, notice tags, joins final instance. He motioned crowd. His action including not just present but distant viewers. What lasts is people treatment. Lift or push down to rise. Leave world mildly improved. The venue utterly muted. Each absorbed in surprise talk depth. What started amusement turned near insight. You see, Chuck proceeded timbre with mild humor hint. National TV old geezer call isn't worst. Tension-breaking laugh rippled. Surviving war, kin loss, own faults, disrespect moment contextualizes. He pivoted to Jake's, features sans blame, only comprehension. Question isn't disrespect, that occurs in worthy life. Question is moment handling. Diminishes or reveals inner stronger, perhaps undiscovered. MJ noting profound shift, let following quiet linger. Not awkward, but reflection space. In production space, head producer whispered. Not planned, but vastly superior. Cameron assented, eyes fixed display. Cynical viral conflict try became unseen in 2 TV years. Real link sans prétense. On set, Jake seemed processing Chuck's terms. Usual quick replies swapped for thoughtful review. When he talked, timbre held new humility, more balanced. I've worked on change, he stated. Yet here transformed live on broad TV. He shook head mildly, amused grin on lips. Divine humor. Chuck's gaze wrinkled. Indeed. You see, Jakes proceeded. In preaching, we discuss iron honing iron, growth via tough meetings. He glanced Chuck. I entered thinking wisdom dispense, instead receiving. The admission opposite all-knowing guide image humanized instantly. Multiple crowd leaned, sensing instant realness. Perhaps Jakes proceeded. That's top lesson. Despite years, feats, stage, we never outgrow learning, humbling humanity reminder. Chuck inclined gradually. Day we deem no learning left is true obsolescence. The remark lingered. Its mild reference to prior slur now shared insight. MJ noting natural part close-faced lens. We'll pause short, return with crowd queries, stay. As indicators dimmed off-air signaling, unprecedented occurred. Bishop T.D. Jakes offered hand to Chuck Norris. Not TV fellowship gesture, but real. Chuck accepted sans pause. Men's gazes meeting silent comprehension. That instant, seen only by venue present, something stronger than scripted TV transpired. Silent recognition between humans that under roles, reputations, built images lay same basic humanness. Imperfect, exposed, growth capable, and in production space viewing unscripted link, Cameron Lee vowed privately on media type for career. Not made strife for views, but real human truths reminding better selves. By 3 a.m., clip viewed 17 million. Cameron Lee alone in home, browsing feeds with weary eyes, observing digital echoes of now termed quiet triumph. All sites flared with opinions, breakdowns, images, emotional replies to T.D. Jakes and Chuck Norris exchange. Story solidified swiftly. Jakes, once broadly honored as guide, recast as ego symbol in current culture, staged doubtful favoring look over essence. Chuck Norris, public role lessened lately, underwent sudden revival, praised as restrained honor in reaction escalation era. Cameron's device buzzed Terratext, fellow assistant. Sleepless too. This everywhere, he responded. Unmatched. Folks treat as spiritual event. She answered fast, it was. Last public shame handled with such mercy. We crave it. Cameron agreed. In outrage perform strife media, Chuck's reply refreshed like desert water, not flashy, but for that. His feed refreshed opinions. The quiet outdid any teaching heard. A shoulda-pulled geezer. Few 10x note Chuck skips volume attack, just insight. That's power. Bishop Jake's humility preached decades, but Chuck showed millions in 2 The tag darn shoulda-pulled geezer repurposed from jest to praise. Thousands sharing elder guides, kin, educators whose soft insight shaped lives. Insult start transformed cultural reference overnight. Shorthand for fire poise. Cameron's display notified. Network figures out. 9.2 million live, 5-year high. YouTube clip over 20 million, rising minutely. He placed device, rubbing eyes. Tomorrow, today later, studio debrief due. Leaders ecstatic on figures, planning viral capitalize. But approach felt off, lessening transpired. Witnessed wasn't monetized content. Genuine human instant camera caught by chance. Cameron's device buzzed. MJ Johnson emailed to team. In 15 broadcast years unmatched tonight. Started amusement, became deeper. Still Still processing witnessed but no privilege present. Thanks professionalism in erratic air. Rest tomorrow busy. MJ as Cameron drifted sleep. Evening images replayed. Chuck's stable palms amid slur. Jake's mask breaking under self-thought weight. Crowd shift from watchers to touched. Something meaningful occurred, unarticulated yet. Morning brought venue frenzy. News vehicles outside. Journalists seeking exclusive from associates. Leaders huddled conferences. Marketing rushed capitalize cultural instant. Media handlers tracked exploding response. Cameron navigated detachment. While surrounds spoke figures, engagement, promo chances, mind-fixed genuine exchange, felt lessened by swarming commerce. In main meet room, head producer addressed team, face excited. Folks cultural instant created. Clip 40 million cross-platform. Major news covers. Calls from Good Morning, Today, CNN all want MJR view. Room buzzed. Careers built on such. Network rushes special wisdom age. Elder lessons. Capitalize. Chuck angle hot. Expanded prime slot pardon. Soft voice interrupted door. Room silenced as MJ Johnson entered. Still with gravity making air compelling. She advanced front features reflective. I get excitement, she started, timbre balanced. Last night surpassed hopes. But prepackaged monetize happened. Reflect resonance reason. She leaned table, surveying. People share clip, not sensational shock. Share for authentic and manufactured ire, performative strife landscape. Witnessed real human instant reminding aspired values rarely shown. Head producer shifted uneasy. Sure MJ honor by commodify? She queried. Query soft pointed. By knockoff parts recapture magic. Book guests hope insult for viral. Uneasy quiet room. Long business time. MJ proceeded. No machine function. But suggest alternate. Instead replicate, learn. Create authentic interaction space over engineered strife. From room back Cameron watched faces surprised, thought some cynical recognition. Spoke both Bishop Jakes, Chuck Morning. MJ said both declined media. Chuck especially said moment self-spoke, ad dilutes. She aligned room authority quiet. Recommend same. No special, no behind tell, no recreate different guests. Let stand merits influence future heirs. Following quiet uncomfortable. Head producer's features suggested revenue calc left. Consider at least, MJ said doorward. Office if discuss. As left room murmured talks. Cameron exited following MJ Hall. MJ he called catching. That was thanks saying. She pivoted, studying curious. Cameron, right? PA. Yes, just felt same, monetized cheapened somehow. She grinned mildly. Interesting, most career stage excited viral chances. Cameron shook. Entered industry meaningful content. Last night first witnessed. Not clever produce engineered drama. Authentic broke artifice. MJ studied thoughtful. No interesting email morning from Bishop Jakes. Cameron brows raised, surprised. What requested Chuck contact? Want to continue talk privately. Sans lenses audiences. She grinned. Suggest genuine last night. Transcended show. Cameron assented. Million cents too. Strong response reason, exactly. MJ watch glanced. Call network head 10 min case against exploit. Luck wish. Luck, Cameron said. Worth, think right. She grinned again. Thanks, business sometimes helps reminded value substance over spectacle. As MJ Hall continued, Cameron device notified. Opened, saw viral tweet TD Jake's account. Simple, 5 terms. Humility learning real time. Attached photo. Jake's alone study apparent open scripture before. Features thoughtful subdued. No staged grin, no crafted image, just man quiet thought. Comments overflowed, many surprise vulnerability, but one caught Cameron. This real power looks, admit wrong, grow. Thanks modeling Bishop. Cameron app closed. Thoughtful features crossed. Perhaps reflected quiet triumph top impact wasn't viral itself, but ripples in Jake's life, crowd views, even cynical TV produce. As conference returned, Cameron decided. Career path whatever, prioritize authentic over artifice, essence over display. Noise performance world, seek quiet genuine link power. Not easiest modern media, but as Chuck Norris showed powerfully, meaningful effect often not loudest shout but firm truth stand. And sometimes truth speaks eloquent through quiet. 3 weeks later, Cameron control booth again. Headphones place. Feeds monitoring nervous anticipate. Venue hummed pre-air energy but different feel. Subtle air shift all sensed. 2 min air. Floor director called. Main display MJ Johnson final appearance tweaks. Set reconfigured tonight special. Gun flash graphics dynamic light. Instead subdued. 3 basic chairs triangle talk. Warm light emphasized faces over spectacle. No venue crowd. Ready this? Tara asked, sound levels beside. Cameron assented. Still believe agreed. Post last think both unfinished felt. Displays showed guests' green rooms. Bishop T.D. Jakes alone sat, no device, no group. Simple dark outfit. Elegant, less showy usual public. Features thoughtful, near meditative. Second green showed Chuck Norris, stance relaxed, dignified. Almost identical prior. Different small leather book on knee. 30-sec floor director. Broadcast differ show history. No crowd, no media integrate, no elaborate intro, just 3 engaged talk. Idea MJ's pitched network head post viral. Rather replicate drama prior. Proposed radical modern TV. Thoughtful, unhurried talk humility. Years, insight, built public selves. No false time limits, no ad breaks, no perform strife, just real exchange. Surprise all, network agreed. 3-2 Silent Point Live. Good evening, MJ started, timbre gentle wait. 3 weeks prior program, unexpected occurred. Began standard fame talk transformed moment since 70 million global views. Lens back, simple set reveal. Tonight mutual agree, Bishop T.D. Jakes, Chuck Norris return, not rehash, but continued talk began sudden. Deserves full space develop. No drama entry sound. As set entered opposite, simply arrived. MJ respectful inclined, seats took. Thanks both this talk agree. MJ said. No neither public statements prior broadcast. Jakes assented. Usual lively energy subdued notable. Some experiences need thought pre-comment, he stated. Timbre more balanced, less staged. These weeks prayer spent honest self-check, he pivoted Chuck, and anticipation tonight. Privilege several private talks, Mr. Norris. Sans lenses public eye. Revelation surprised Cameron even. 2 men private meets outside broadcast frame. Chuck MJ said, these weeks like you? Busier expected, he stated smile hint. Grandkids show internet response. Apparently trending call. Gentle chuckle crew. But beyond, Chuck proceeded. Thought why moment deep resonated many. Need fulfilled current culture, conclusions reached? MJ queried. Believe people authenticity hungry. Chuck replied plain. World much performance, conflicts instant escalate, loudest dominates, genuine link instant stands desert water. Jakes inclined slowly. Similar conclusion reached, though costlier. He aligned mildly. Decades built ministry media presence certain image. Authoritative timbre. Charismatic guide, answers person. Hands, usually motion speech, quiet lap rested. Happened us 3 weeks, force confront, uncomfortable. How much image authentic service, how much ego leadership mask. Chuck Jakes regarded evident respect. Distinction recognize rare courage requires, he stated softly. Perhaps Jakes admitted, but requires mirror others provide. He looked Chuck direct. Response unacceptable comment showed needed see self. Not condemnation contrast. MJ exchange unfold natural let. Recognizing role tonight not direct but authentic emerge space hold. You see, Jakes proceeded. Thousands messages received since broadcast. Many disappointment expressed, some support offer. But deepest effect from young clerics leaders recognized behavior self. Need perform, dominate, authoritative, seen all costs. He head shook slowly. Realized not just personal fail moment. Harmful model those example look. And yet, Chuck noted. Public failure acknowledgement ultimately instructive more years polished teachings. Jakes, this considered. Proverbs verse much mind. Pride destruction before, haughty fall before. Text preached many. Pride dangers warned, humility virtue spoken. Amused smile lips, then insecurity moment demonstrated pride cautioned against. We ideals shortfall all, Chuck soft said. Indeed, Jakes agreed. But failings public happen, affect others, contradict claimed values, require more private sorrow. Require public admit genuine shift. He pivoted fuller Chuck, why want say clear sans qualification. Deeply sorry words behavior toward. Beneath values claim, office hold, basic respect humanos another. Apology weight sincerity carried absent earlier qualified regret. This damage control image managed not. Genuine remorse. Chuck inclined once, apology simple dignity accept. Thank Bishop. Apology accept complete. Weight seemed Jake's shoulders lift. Private talks past weeks, same mercy shown camera displayed, transformative been. Transformation evident. MJ noted. Different quality presence tonight. Centeredness feels distinct public persona many associate. Jakes inclined slowly. Career built bold declaration. Answers having certainty spiritual authority. Approach value also risk. He Chuck glanced. Weeks reminded equal importance attending quiet humility. Recognize wisdom unexpected sources often. Chuck mild smiled even old geezers. Gentle slur callback. Now shared comprehension moment transformed, tension broke. Jake's laughed, not staged public chuckle, but real mirth expression. Especially them, he admitted. African traditions elders revered precisely, ego demands outlived. Survived long distinguished matters doesn't. He Chuck gestured. Called irrelevant, own shallow relevance definition revealed. Equating trending, viral, cultural coin. Thoughtful features crossed. True relevance, not retweets, figures measured. Living real. Modeling values transcend temp cultural obsessions. Chuck pocket reached, withdrew small worn notebook. If may, he stated. Something carried decades. Words first combat teacher shaped true power understanding. Notebook marked page opened. Oak tall proud stand storm breaks until read when bend survive stand another. Uplooked page. Humility weakness virtue disguise not. Practical insight limitations recognize bend break rather life tests when. Lifetime spent oak trying be, Jakes admitted. Tall standing, unmoved. Power certainty projecting. Amused smile lips. Then insecurity moment broke. Revealing power more performance reality. Yet here, Chuck noted, breaking growing. Because mercy offered condemnation rather, Jakes replied. Gave every reason righteous ire respond, higher chose. He lens turned, viewing audience direct first. Lesson hope people take exchange. Not failure. Chuck angle hot. Expanded prime slot pardon. Soft voice interrupted door. Room silenced as MJ Johnson entered. Still with gravity making air compelling. She advanced front features reflective. I get excitement, she started, timbre balanced. Last night surpassed hopes. But prepackaged monetize happened. Reflect resonance reason. She leaned table, surveying. People share clip, not sensational shock. Share for authentic and manufactured ire, performative strife landscape. Witnessed real human instant reminding aspired values rarely shown. Head producer shifted uneasy. Sure MJ honor by commodify? She queried. Query soft pointed. By knockoff parts recapture magic. Book guests hope insult for viral. Uneasy quiet room. Long business time. MJ proceeded. No machine function. But suggest alternate. Instead replicate, learn. Create authentic interaction space over engineered strife. From room back Cameron watched faces surprised, thought some cynical recognition. Spoke both Bishop Jakes, Chuck Morning. MJ said both declined media. Chuck especially said moment self-spoke, ad dilutes. She aligned room authority quiet. Recommend same. No special, no behind tell, no recreate different guests. Let stand merits influence future heirs. Following quiet uncomfortable. Head producer's features suggested revenue calc left. Consider at least, MJ said doorward. Office if discuss. As left room murmured talks. Cameron exited following MJ Hall. MJ he called catching. That was thanks saying. She pivoted studying curious. Cameron right? PA. Yes, just felt same monetized cheapens somehow. She grinned mildly. Interesting, most career stage excited viral chances. Cameron shook. Entered industry meaningful content. Last night first witnessed. Not clever produce engineered drama. Authentic broke artifice. MJ studied thoughtful. No interesting email morning from Bishop Jakes. Cameron brows raised, surprised. What requested Chuck contact? Want to continue talk privately. Sans lenses audiences. She grinned. Suggest genuine last night. Transcended show. Cameron assented. Million cents too. Strong response reason, exactly. MJ watch glanced. Call network head 10 min case against exploit. Luck wish. Luck, Cameron said. Worth, think right. She grinned again. Thanks, business sometimes helps reminded value substance over spectacle. As MJ Hall continued, Cameron device notified. Opened, saw viral tweet TD Jake's account. Simple, 5 terms. Humility learning real time. Attached photo. Jake's alone study apparent open scripture before. Features thoughtful subdued. No staged grin, no crafted image, just man quiet thought. Comments overflowed, many surprise vulnerability, but one caught Cameron. This real power looks, admit wrong, grow. Thanks modeling Bishop. Cameron app closed. Thoughtful features crossed. Perhaps reflected quiet triumph top impact wasn't viral itself, but ripples in Jake's life, crowd views, even cynical TV produce. As conference returned, Cameron decided. Career path whatever, prioritize authentic over artifice, essence over display. Noise performance world, seek quiet genuine link power. Not easiest modern media, but as Chuck Norris showed powerfully, meaningful effect often not loudest shout but firm truth stand. And sometimes truth speaks eloquent through quiet. 3 weeks later, Cameron control booth again. Headphones place. Feeds monitoring nervous anticipate. Venue hummed pre-air energy but different feel. Subtle air shift all sensed. 2 min air. Floor director called. Main display MJ Johnson final appearance tweaks. Set reconfigured to night special. Gone flash graphics dynamic light. Instead subdued. 3 basic chairs triangle talk. Warm light emphasize faces over spectacle. No venue crowd. Ready this? Tara asked, sound levels beside. Cameron assented. Still believe agreed. Post last think both unfinished felt. Displays showed guests' green rooms. Bishop T.D. Jakes alone sat, no device, no group. Simple dark outfit. Elegant, less showy usual public. Features thoughtful, near meditative. Second green showed Chuck Norris, stance relaxed, dignified. Almost identical prior. Different small leather book on knee. 30-sec floor director. Broadcast differ show history. No crowd, no media integrate, no elaborate intro, just 3 engaged talk. Idea MJ's pitched network head post viral. Rather replicate drama prior. Proposed radical modern TV. Thoughtful, unhurried talk humility. Years, insight, built public selves. No false time limits, no ad breaks, no perform strife, just real exchange. Surprise all, network agreed. 3-2 Silent Point Live. Good evening, MJ started, timbre gentle wait. 3 weeks prior program, unexpected occurred. Began standard fame talk transformed moment since 70 million global views. Lens back, simple set reveal. Tonight mutual agree, Bishop T.D. Jakes, Chuck Norris return, not rehash, but continued talk began sudden. Deserves full space develop. No drama entry sound. As set entered opposite, simply arrived. MJ respectful inclined, seats took. Thanks both this talk agree. MJ said. No neither public statements prior broadcast. Jakes assented. Usual lively energy subdued notable. Some experiences need thought pre-comment, he stated. Timbre more balanced, less staged. These weeks prayer spent honest self-check, he pivoted Chuck, and anticipation tonight. Privilege several private talks, Mr. Norris. Sans lenses public eye. Revelation surprised Cameron even. 2 men private meets outside broadcast frame. Chuck MJ said, these weeks like you? Busier expected, he stated smile hint. Grandkids show internet response. Apparently trending call. Gentle chuckle crew. But beyond, Chuck proceeded. Thought why moment deep resonated many. Need fulfilled current culture, conclusions reached? MJ queried. Believe people authenticity hungry. Chuck replied plain. World much performance, conflicts instant escalate, loudest dominates, genuine link instant stands desert water. Jakes inclined slowly. Similar conclusion reached, though costlier. He aligned mildly. Decades built ministry media presence certain image. Authoritative timbre. Charismatic guide, answers person. Hands, usually motion speech, quiet lap rested. Happened us 3 weeks, force confront, uncomfortable. How much image authentic service, how much ego leadership mask. Chuck Jakes regarded evident respect. Distinction recognize rare courage requires, he stated softly. Perhaps Jakes admitted, but requires mirror others provide. He looked Chuck direct. Response unacceptable comment showed needed see self. Not condemnation contrast. MJ exchange unfold natural let. Recognizing role tonight not direct but authentic emerge space hold. You see Jakes proceeded. Thousands messages received since broadcast. Many disappointment expressed, some support offer. But deepest effect from young clerics leaders recognized behavior self. Need perform dominate authoritative seen all costs. He head shook slowly. Realized not just personal fail moment. Harmful model those example look. And yet, Chuck noted. Public failure acknowledgement ultimately instructive more years polished teachings. Jakes this considered. Proverbs verse much mind. Pride destruction before, haughty fall before. Text preached many. Pride dangers warned, humility virtue spoken. Amused smile lips then insecurity moment demonstrated pride cautioned against. We ideals shortfall all, Chuck soft said. Indeed, Jakes agreed. But failings public happen, affect others. Contradict claimed values, require more private sorrow. Require public admit genuine shift. He pivoted fuller Chuck why want say clear sans qualification. Deeply sorry words behavior toward. Beneath values claim, office hold basic respect human owes another. Apology weight sincerity carried absent earlier qualified regret. This damage control image managed not. Genuine remorse. Chuck inclined once apology simple dignity accept. Thank Bishop. Apology accept complete. Weight seemed Jake's shoulders lift. Private talks past weeks same mercy shown camera displayed transformative bin. Transformation evident. MJ noted. Different quality presence tonight. Centeredness feels distinct public persona many associate. Jake's inclined slowly. Career built bold declaration. Answers having certainty, spiritual authority. Approach value, also risk. Chuck glanced. Weeks reminded equal importance, attending, quiet, humility. Recognize wisdom, unexpected sources often. Chuck mild smiled, even old geezers. Gentle slur callback. Now shared comprehension moment transformed, tension broke. Jake's laughed, not staged public chuckle, but real mirth expression. Especially them, he admitted. African traditions, elders revered precisely, ego demands outlived. Survived long distinguished matters, doesn't. Chuck gestured. Called irrelevant, own shallow relevance definition revealed. Equating trending, viral, cultural coin. Thoughtful features crossed. True relevance, not retweets, figures measured. Living real. Modeling values transcend temp cultural obsessions. Chuck pocket reached, withdrew small worn notebook. If may, he stated. Something carried decades. Words first combat teacher shaped true power understanding. Notebook marked page opened. Oak tall proud stand storm breaks until. Read when bend survive stand another. Uplooked page. Humility weakness virtue disguise not. Practical insight limitations recognize bend break rather life tests when. Lifetime spent oak trying be. Jakes admitted. Tall standing, unmoved. Power certainty projecting. Amused smile lips. Then insecurity moment broke. Revealing power more performance reality. Yet here, Chuck noted, breaking growing. Because mercy offered condemnation rather, Jakes replied. Gave every reason righteous ire respond, higher chose. He lens turned, viewing audience direct first. Lesson hope people take exchange. Not failure,